Line drive, base hit. Olenek was off with the pitch, so he's easily to third. He'll be held up there. As Kerstad gets it back on the infield, runners at the corners, and 2 outs for Ole Miss here in the first inning.
A lot of times you'll see third base coach send the runner with 2 outs because it's more likely for a bad throw or a missed catch at home than it is for the next guy to come up and get a base hit with 2 outs. They almost sent him, but Olenek stops at third with 2 outs.
So Zabowski continues to swing it well. And Olenek with that long stride. Thought about coming home, but Mike Clement put the brakes on. At the plate, 6th-round pick of the Tigers. Line drive back up the middle, base hit. Olenek scores. Zabowski to second, and Ole Miss breaks on top here in this third and deciding game in the Super Regional.
And that slider's been very good for Wicklander. The issue is if that's all you throw, the hitters start to sit on it. Cooper Johnson had seen a few. He hit a home run the opposite way yesterday and sat all over that slider. Got it out over the plate, hit it back up the middle. Ole Miss up 1-0.
And an early visit to the mound from pitching coach Matt Hobbs. There's Cooper Johnson with the fist pump.
Watch the 2019 FIFA Women's World Cup on Fox and FS1 with YouTube TV.
Heston Kerstad at the plate now, sophomore from Amarillo, Texas. 1 for 9 here in the Supers. He's going to go down the line. Tough play for the left fielder, and Thomas Dillard can't make the catch. Kerstad's at second base. Dillard got down to his knees and tried to make that play, and it popped out of his glove.
Yeah, it wasn't a situation where he slid too early. It looked pretty smooth all the way until the ball hit the glove. He's got his eye on it, hit the palm of his glove, and that's what caused it to bounce out for Thomas Dillard. And nice piece of hitting by Kerstad to go the other way, and a lot of times that's tough.
2-2 pitch. Line drive toward the gap. Here comes Kerstad. He will score. Henley to third, and Opitz has done it again. We're tied.
Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. It's our Wednesday edition of On the Hill with Pat Jenkins Sports Talk Radio, coming to you each and every day here on KDSJ 479. And we'll let you hear some very, very hyped highlights from Arkansas's 14-1 College World Series clinching. Clinched their ticket here at the Federal Super Regional over Ole Miss. I mean, finally solved that issue, Demetrius, of the Ole Miss Rebels. Ole Miss has won the past 4 years in the best 2 out of 3, but Arkansas evened it up 3-3 this year. But that third one was the most important, as it gave them the bid to head to Omaha for what is the program's second only in the history of the program back-to-back trips to the Collegiate World Series. And we got a big show. I'm talking big show. A Diamond Hall, one that's already one of the biggest diamonds in the Coach Mo 2020 class. Tykees Crawford, big offensive lineman, 4-star out of Carthage, Texas, will be joining us momentarily. He just made his, I believe, 4th or 5th trip to the Hill. We'll see how things continue to go with the Beast from Beach, Texas here in momentarily. And then we're going to talk even more baseball. Scotty Borderland of the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette will be joining us to talk about just how the field is with Coach Van Horn and the ball club heading to Omaha to take on their first round game at 6 p.m. versus the Florida State Seminoles. Will be quite the matchup. But I want to bring in my co-host real quick, producer. I call him Spike D on here. What's up, my man?
Not much chilling, man. Wish it wasn't raining today.
Man, that's Fayetteville for you. Growing up here all my life, that's just summertime. That's Fayetteville. It rains. It gets hotter. It rains. It won't rain for a couple of weeks. You can barbecue for a little bit. But I tell you what, Demetrius, the one thing I know is that it's fishing. The fishing holes are real good about right now. And if that's what you like to do. But we're going to step away. We caught up with Coach Dave Van Horn and a few players to talk about their big win versus Ole Miss in Game 3. And then coming back, Tykees Crawford of Carthage High School. He's up next. It's On the Hill with Pat Jenkins on KDSJ 479. Let's get it.
And then I have questions for Coach Van Horn. Coach, go ahead.
Well, first I'd like to, just congratulate Ole Miss on a great season. One of the scariest lineups to sit in the dugout and try to maneuver through. I know these pitchers feel that way, and that was an incredible recruiting class they brought in 3 years ago that won a bunch of games, and feel very fortunate that we came out and we got things going our way. They punched one in on us early. Cody came in and did a tremendous job getting that third out in the second inning. And I think it really, the difference down 1 compared to maybe 3 if they get a base hit was huge. And then obviously us coming in and Heston hit a ball down the left field line. It was kind of slicing. It was kind of in and out of the glove, dropped. We got a leadoff double there. We ended up scoring a run, big two-strike hit by Jacob Nesbitt. But then for Trevor, he's able to come through with that really good at bat, runner at second and third. We got a 2-1 lead at the time and fouled off a couple of pitches. I think the count was 2-2, and then he got a changeup down and he slapped it in the 4-hole. And all of a sudden we're up 4-1. Man, you could just really feel the momentum switch to us. Cody goes out, throwing the ball really well, and then he did it again and again and again. I mean, Cody was the MVP of the game. I mean, without him, we might not win that game. That was an incredible gutsy outing. Kind of reminded me the way he threw at the beginning of the season when he pitched against USC on the road. First time on the road, we didn't know what we were going to get, how we were going to play, and he settled it down, and it was great. But what a great win for our program, for the state, university. I mean, I could go on and on, the fans. For us to get back to Omaha for the second year in a row. It's hard enough just to get there once every now and then, but to get there 2 years in a row with a bunch of guys that watched on the side last year or maybe weren't even with us. And in the case of Jacob Nesbitt, I mean, he didn't make travel squad. He was playing summer ball right now. And, today he gets a big double, makes a great diving play to end the game. I mean, what a thrill for me as a coach, to be a part of this, to watch these guys celebrate and the joy. It's like I told them at the beginning, the pressure for me is during the season. This is fun for me. I've been to Omaha. I love going to Omaha. But I really, really, truly mean it when I want them to get there, and I just kind of want to go with them. And it was an incredible ride, journey, whatever you want to call it this season. And, win or lose, it's going to finish in Omaha, and that's where you want to finish.
All right, raise your hand. We'll go to Mike to you for questions for the student athletes. Nate?
I guess, Cody, just kind of what was your thinking? What was your thinking when, you were brought in? First, when you were warming up, even as, Wicklander was struggling, and then, being brought into the game.
I mean, we knew going into this game was just kind of all hands on deck for both teams. I mean, pitching was depleted, and so, I just kind of knew all hands on deck and just getting warmed up. I mean, I knew it was my time, and I came in the second inning. He just told me the count and said, go get him, and that's what I did.
Third out in that inning, how much, confidence did that give you coming back in and then building on that the rest of the way?
I mean, it felt good because, usually I struggle with my fastball to righties, and the strike going out on the fastball to righty gave my confidence a really big boost, and going out to the next inning felt great.
Stretched out like this for quite a while, maybe the Bama game. What did it feel like to throw that many innings and be such an integral part of what you did today?
It felt great. About the second inning, I knew I had control of all 3 pitches to both lefties and righties, and I knew it was going to be really fun for me today, and that's what happened.
Bob?
Yes, I mean, we've asked you about this a lot about Ole Miss. It had your all's number. I think they'd won the last 3 series, and just how good was it to win a game 3 against them, to win a series? Because obviously this is the biggest series Arkansas has ever had against Ole Miss. Just how good did that feel, and especially to win so decisively?
Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. It's our Wednesday edition of On the Hill with Pat Jenkins Sports Talk Radio, coming to you each and every day here on KDSJ 479. And Arkansas picked up a real big diamond game a little over a month or so ago from Carthage, Texas. So we thought we'd catch up with the big man from Beach, Texas, Tykees Crawford. T. Crawford, welcome to the Hill, my man. You there? Can you hear me? All right. How's summer been going for you to this point, Tykees?
Great, and it's hot.
Now, you were just up here for yet another unofficial visit. You've taken your official, committed back to Arkansas, but still yet you continue to make your way to Fayetteville. You know, what is so special about the Hill that makes you want to continuously come back?
It's like a family. I love the environment of it. It's like I get to meet new people every time I come down. There's always new stuff. I love it. It's like home.
Talk about that relationship that you have, Ty, with Coach Traylor and Coach Morris in particular. Those two being two men from the East Texas. Talk about how special that is when you have guys on staff that you can relate to, someone that you consider part of your family.
Because Coach Traylor from East Texas, he know how hard it is down there for us to like get noticed and get known and stuff like that. And
now,
so,
Ty,
like,
go ahead.
Sir?
Go ahead. You can finish your statement.
Oh, yeah. He's because he knows about how hard it is for people from East Texas and stuff to get noticed. And like, because he's been around. He's from here. And so, like, it's like I have family up there, and like, since he's up there, I know a couple people. I have a couple buddies and stuff going up there. So, like, it's home.
Coming from Carthage, I mean, the program that you come out of, I mean, each and every year, the expectations, Tykees, at the high school football level, for what you guys are expected to do year in and year out in that state that's so rich with high school football tradition. How do you think that that's going to help prepare you, Ty, for when you do move here to Fayetteville? And also, too, if you notice, Fayetteville with Arkansas being more the same type of environment that you come out of, the state's team, how do you think your experience at Carthage is going to help you once you get to Arkansas?
It's going to be a great impact because I feel like the class of 2020 is going to be the best class that Fayetteville has ever had.
Now, you taking part.
We got some real ballers coming out of our class.
Now, you taking part in recruiting some of those Diamond Gang members. I see you on Twitter, every so often, and you got a big time player there on your team that I know you're, trying to gain interest to help join the Diamond Gang. How are things going about that? Yeah.
He's going pretty good. He won't tell anybody where he's going to go at all yet. He won't give us no hints tonight. But I'm trying my hardest to get him down there.
Now, Ty, you just recently got that 4th star. What did that mean to you to get that 4th star?
To be honest, it meant a lot. But, like, for me, I thought I really already had it. But I had to notice it was from something totally different. But to me, it's just another star. That means I got to work harder to get that 5th star.
Now, Arkansas fans, every time they see you take an unofficial visit, and you and I talk, you have a second family that, they have certain schools that they like, and you just take a little fun. You were at LSU for a camp, I believe, a little over a week ago. Could you reassure the listeners, or, how solid is the commitment to Arkansas? I'm pretty sure it's solid, but, we have a lot
of 100%.
That's all I needed to know. What are you going to be?
It's 100%.
What are some of the things you've been working on, Ty, during this summer break? Some things that you feel really good about. What are some of the things that you feel good about heading into your senior year and then this off season? Some things that you're trying to work on to even improve, so that you can have that that type of senior year that you really want to have?
I think this year it's like the stuff we didn't have in the past years was intensity. We didn't have like the drive and stuff to really do it. Because last year, I say that was my first time losing since I got in high school, and I hated it. And like this year, it's just a whole new program. It's like we just changed. Nobody's the same like we were last year. Everybody's gonna strive to work their hardest this year because we want to win another state championship.
Talk about the leadership role that you've had to, assume with. Talk about that leadership role with this being your senior year that you've had to assume.
As a senior, you got to step up because there's so many young cats that are out there that really they're trying to take your spot, but at the same time, it's like if you're a senior, you got to fight your hardest for that spot and keep it. Because it's your senior year. You want to go out as a winner, not a loser.
I like that. Describe your game to the fans or to people, because Ty, we're playing videos as we speak with you, but describe Tykees Crawford's game on Friday nights to the viewers or listeners or someone that may want to come out to Carthage, Texas and check you out.
My game is to strive to beat the person in front of me at all times. It's to strive to be the hardest working person out there on the field. Effort is what I want to give all the time, no matter what.
Now, let's have a little fun. I have a producer, and I've done this a couple of times. He's a big NBA young boy fan. What 3 artists is in your playlist right now for Tykees Crawford?
Luke Combs, Cody Johnson, and what's his name? Cody Jinks.
I've heard of those guys, but which one are you vibing to the most? Who gets played the most out of that playlist?
Luke Combs.
Which one?
Luke Combs.
Well, I'm going to have to check him out. Well, if there's anything that you want our listeners and viewers to know before we let you go, what would that be? I believe we lost connection with Tykees Crawford, but want to thank Tykees for taking time on the hill. Big-time Arkansas commit, 4-star tackle, and Demetrius. I got to get Demetrius in on this one. The big fella. I've watched multiple films and many Arkansas offensive line prospects in my time. This young man here, I'm talking about road grader with the speed and agility that Tykees presents. There's a reason that he was so coveted, and I think he has to be one of the top 2 or 3 in the state of Texas. If he's not in that top 2 or 3, I gotta find 2 or 3 more better. How about yourself?
Yeah, I just really liked his energy. He brings that high intensity just even over the phone. So I was really just glad to hear how he sounds excited to be a Hog. He sounds like he wants to be a Hog, and I think that sometimes is more important than talent. Guys that want to be here, that feel that family environment, that feel wanted, and know that they're coming into a special situation to where they can build a legacy in a place that hasn't had a rich history in a while.
I've had a chance, like I said, Demetrius, to see quite a few really good offensive linemen. Steve Court, Greg Cook, Alfred Davis. This young man has the potential to be one of the elite here, in my opinion, that I would have the privilege of covering as a Razorback. Tykees at 6'6", 325 pounds, the speed. I mean, this guy has to run in that low 5, if not that 4.9, sub 5 flat 40. I mean, the way he moves, I think Arkansas in that running game is really going to go to the next level. Having a guy that you can play either at tackle or guard, and they can get out and lead the running back. Guys like Rakeem Boyd. Those type of guys get behind players like that, Demetrius, and with, like you said, his energy, and when he gets to the defensive player, he arrives in a bad mood. That's going to be real special.
And I honestly believe Arkansas is a offensive line away from competing in the SEC.
Right.
I think as far as skill positions, I think they've covered that ground up. I think still in that defensive back position, I think that would be probably the one position that I say they're still trying to cover ground as far as SEC skill and physicality and body. It may be possibly linebacker, but I still think they've gained more ground in that linebacker position, even when you looked at some of the kids that they've potentially been recruiting and planning on bringing on campus. But again, if we can get a solid offensive line within the next year or two, I think Chad Morris will definitely be in contentions to be one of the top, if not total out of the SEC, at least competing within the SEC West.
Well, I mean, we're starting to see that through recruiting the offensive linemen that he's starting to bring in, the Stromborgs, those type of guys. And Takis, I think, is going to be an even bigger illustration, as I think they're going to sign a pretty highly thought of incoming 20 class of offensive linemen. But you talked about astute. We're going to talk about a program that's really astute here, and that's Dave Van Horn and the Omahas. We're getting ready to catch up with Scotty Borderland of the Arkansas Dim Gas. He's up next. It's On the Hill with Pat Jenkins on KDSJ 479. Back in a moment. Let's get it.
Watch the 2019 FIFA Women's World Cup on Fox and FS1 with YouTube TV.
You're talking about being careful. That ball split right down the middle. It's low. Trevor Ezell is a great fastball hitter, and you see Elko in right field, or Servidio's out there now. Drops the ball, but Trevor Ezell, I tell you what, this guy.
1-1 from Miller. Kerrstamp down the line. That is fair. Here comes Goodhart. He'll glide home. On his way home is Fletcher. 2 more for the Homes. Heston Kerrstamp, his second double today. That drives in 2. And it is 6-1 Arkansas. Man, that was mashed.
Well, that's what makes this Arkansas offense so dynamic. Anybody can hurt you. Heston Kerrstamp has not done well in this series. Gets the curveball out over the plate, drives it down the right field line. Huge.
Welcome back. It's our Wednesday edition of On the Hill with Pat Jenkins Sports Talk Radio, coming to you each and every day here on KDSJ 479. And real quick, before we get to our next guest, I want to give a shout out to our sponsors, Lindsay & Associates, Locomotion, our newest sponsor, Corey Beck's Custom Painting, and our new sponsor, the Candlewood Suites here in Fayetteville, Arkansas, just located off of the MFK Boulevard. But Arkansas is about to make their way to its second annual, or second in program history, to the Collegiate World Series. And they'll be taking on the Florida State Seminoles this Saturday evening on ESPN2 at 6 p.m. But we got to catch up with our good buddy, the one we always lean on, Scotty Borderland of the Arkansas Dim Draft. Scotty B, welcome back to the Hill, my man.
Hey, thanks for having me, Pat. How you doing?
I'm doing very good. Probably not as good as Coach Van Horn. You know, you come off what he had to go through with that program last year. So close to winning the national championship. You lose a lot off that baseball team, but you come back with a very unknown team. Talented but unknown. Pick fifth. Move throughout the SEC. Share the SEC West Division. And now you're back in the Collegiate World Series. Talk about that. And Scotty, you've covered this team throughout the year. What's been the biggest thing that you've noticed to get them to where they're at?
Yeah, I was in Omaha last year after Game 3, and, when there's a long hallway that connects, kind of the underbelly of the stadium to the dugout, and Van Horn was walking from the dugout kind of to underneath the stadium, and there's a couple of guys that work for the stadium who, they always greet Arkansas players and coaches when they're coming to and from that location, kind of show them around so they don't get lost a little bit. I remember one of the guys last year, one of the hosts, he kind of gave Dave a fist bump and was like, "Coach, congratulations on a great year. We know you'll be back." And Dave was like, "Yeah, you're right. You're right. We will be back." And I didn't think that this team would get back this year. Like, we figured that the Dave Van Horn team would get back again at some point, but not this year. I just think that this team is like they've got a togetherness about them that not a lot of teams have. And Casey Martin kind of talked to me about it a little bit a couple of days ago. Like everything with this team, like it's not a me thing, it's a team thing. And the guys, like they just really seem to enjoy playing with each other. I think when you kind of have that, and then you've got a guy like Isaiah Campbell, who wasn't named All-SEC, but was an All-American, and you just got guys in your lineup that can just hit all day long. That's a really tough combination. And obviously you got one of the best coaches in the country kind of guiding you. So, you look at all that, and I guess it's not really that surprising that they made it back. But I think Dave put us, like Dave didn't think that this team was going to get back to this point this year. I mean, there was a certain point where he thought they might, thought they were a little bit better than they thought maybe at the beginning of the year. But yeah, it's been a special run. I'm excited to see how the end of the year plays out.
The young man I'm really, really impressed about is Isaiah Campbell. Talked to a couple of people within the program that were kind of close to the pitching staff, and always had heard Isaiah Campbell could possibly be and have the best stuff on that team. It was just going to be a matter of time when he was able to come back from the very disappointing injury that he had so early in his career. Talk about Isaiah. I'm really upset that he didn't make All SEC. I thought he's probably, if not the best Friday pitcher, one of the top two. Talk about his maturation and growth this year, and how important was it for him to come back and be that starting Friday pitcher to kind of get this lineup set to where Dave Nim could kind of maneuver it to this team's benefit.
Yeah, it's been pretty incredible to watch, and I think after I guess it was game 2 of the regional when Arkansas was matched up against Nick Lozola at TCU, who went as a top 10 pick in the draft a couple of days later, and Isaiah just flat out outpitched him. And Dave kind of talked about a little bit about Isaiah later that night that they thought last year that Isaiah had the potential to be kind of the head of their staff or the ace on this team this year. But they thought that there might be some inconsistencies that come along with it, but there just really hasn't been. And for him to go out, I guess, game 1 of just about every weekend series and just give Arkansas a shot to win in every single game, it's been incredible, especially pitching in the SEC, and you only have one loss to show for it throughout the entire year. It's pretty remarkable. But yeah, he really has grown up, and I think the big thing with him is like the mental side of the game. He really matured there. Pitching out of the stretch isn't really a thing for him anymore. Like it doesn't bother him nearly as much as it did last year. Like he just thought last year if you got a guy on base that you could kind of get inside his head and kind of live rent free there for a little while, but it's just not that way this year. He's been phenomenal this postseason. I don't expect anything different once they get to Omaha on Saturday.
The thing that sticks out to me, Scotty, also is, they lost a lot of senior leadership, lost a lot of, high contributors due to the draft. A lot of them left early last year. Came in with a lot of, like I said, uncertainty. Guys that were talented, but yet unproven. You get a guy like Ezel transfer in. Nesbitt, as they continue to say, wasn't even in Fayetteville, Arkansas. He was playing summer league ball about this time when they were in the Collegiate World Series. Christian Franklin, another young man that's contributed. Casey Opitz, guys that weren't on the field were able to step in. Jake Kinley, he's another guy that stepped in, and they didn't miss a beat. Speak to the talent for which Dave Van Horn were able to recruit, because it's not easy in baseball. You don't have full rides. You have to hopefully get guys that can play baseball but also handle it in the classroom. There's a lot of moving parts that it's a puzzle that just has to fit right. Talk about the ability that Coach Van Horn and that staff has been able to do to get this program to go in the direction that it's heading in.
Yeah, it's really tough. And Dave talked about just kind of the scholarship math that has to go into how much does this guy get? How much does this guy get? Because there's only 11.7 scholarships in baseball, which is kind of absurd. But to survive, you've got to have, 4 to 5 guys who contribute pretty regularly, not on any athletic aid at all. So you kind of got to have guys that are strong academically, who can also produce on the field too. That kind of thing really helps a lot.
Right.
But he signs guys like Matt Goodhart, who's, he's one of my favorite guys on this team to watch. The kid can just hit. He comes in from San Jacinto in Texas and just fits right in. And now he's hitting 3-hole in the order, and he's one of their, best batting average on the team. Starting to hit for a little bit more power now. But then, like Trevor Retail, I think he hit 500 or better in the postseason so far, which is absurd. I think he won't say it, but he's kind of playing with a chip on his shoulder now because he went undrafted a couple weeks ago. And he's a guy that, I don't see he's going to get free agent opportunities. I don't have any doubts about that. Like, the kid can really play. You produce like he did in this league. You're going to get an opportunity somewhere. But yeah, it's just all throughout the lineup. Like, Christian Franklin's struggling a little bit at the plate, but at the beginning of the year, he was leading the team in RBIs in the 9th spot, and so and then Jacob Nesbitt too, comes up with a really big hit, and then he ends the game with a phenomenal diving stop. It's just, you're getting contributions from guys all over. Casey Opitz too, the 7, 8, 9 spot in the order. What they're bringing to the lineup at the plate and what they're doing in the field is pretty remarkable. And you got to have those guys to make a deep postseason run.
My question is, Arkansas finished 48-21 at the end of the season, coming back second, ranked nationally behind Oregon State. This team is heading out to the Collegiate World Series versus Florida State on Saturday at 46-18. When you compare last year's team heading in versus Texas in round 1 to this team, Scotty, what differences do you have, both good and bad, heading in for this year's team versus that 2018 group?
Yeah, I think when you look at it offensively, I think last year's team, they didn't play a whole lot of small ball. It was almost like guerrilla ball. They hitting the ball over the yard, hitting for home runs. Almost hit 100 home runs last year. Lots of guys with really solid power numbers, and you've got some of that this year too. But this team can beat you in so many different ways. If the game dictates that, if there's two really good arms going, Arkansas might be able to outscore you 3-2, 3-1, 2-1, somewhere in there. Last year, I feel like if they were going up against a pretty good arm, there's a possibility that it could be a 1-0, 2-0 game. And it was kind of either boom or bust, but it's just consistent throughout the lineup. And I think the bullpen's kind of a strong suit. Dave kind of said he thinks that's kind of the difference between this year and last year's team. He's got a really solid arms like Ramage and Kostychuk and Cody Scroggins. Scroggins was enormous in Game 3 the other day. Comes in with 2 outs in the second. Just with guys on second and third, you're already down a run. You allow a base hit, you're down 3. And, you kind of feel like you've been punched in the stomach a little bit. Long way to go, but that's a knockout. That's a big haymaker. In the first couple of innings, he kind of be hard to come back from. But he was solid. And then you got Matt Cronin at the end, one of the top left-handed arms in the country.
More reliable.
yeah, for sure. I think the bullpen, is just what sets this team apart, and they've kind of alluded to that the other night.
Talking with Scotty Borland of the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. Before we let you go, Scotty, the last question I want to lead in with: Arkansas is one of only 3 teams out of the 8 that was at last year's collegiate baseball World Series experience, and that being Mississippi State and Texas Tech as well. Talk about Arkansas's chances as honestly as you can. How much of a chance does this team have to get to that final series, best 2 out of 3, and win this thing this year in Omaha?
Oh yeah, I think they've got a solid chance to get back to the final. If you look at this bracket, the 2 sides of the bracket, objectively, the side of the bracket that Arkansas is not in is much tougher. Right. I think you've got 2 teams that have won 50 plus games, and another team that's won 49 games on the other side of the bracket. Right. And Arkansas's got Michigan State, Texas Tech, and Florida State on their side. And on the other side, you got the SEC regular season champ, Vanderbilt, Mississippi State, who's won 50 plus games, and then Louisville. And I don't think anybody wants to face Louisville. They're always really solid too. So I think like Arkansas couldn't really ask for a better draw as far as the bracket's concerned. So I think they were a little fortunate there. But you know, I think if they can get through their side of the bracket and without using too many arms, I think they'll be in really good shape to get to the final. But we'll see. I think if Arkansas goes out and wins on Saturday, I think they're going to be in pretty good shape.
Well, I'm calling for it now. And Arkansas takes on the Vanderbilt Commodores for the national championship this year. And I want to make a note also to our listeners and viewers that we will be having Scotty on. And Scotty's going to be making his way to the Collegiate World Series at Omaha. And we'll be bringing Scotty on for the duration that the Hogs stay in the tournament. I'm pretty sure, in my opinion, as I've already predicted, they'll be there for that final 2 out of 3 series. But you have a safe trip, Scotty. And as always, my man, thanks for taking time out on the hill.
You bet, Pat. Really appreciate you having me.
All right, bud. That was Scotty Borderland of the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. And Demetrius, I think that's going to wrap it up for us here on OTH. For all of you, I want to give a thank you to our guests, Tykees Crawford of Carthage, Texas High School, big 4-star Arkansas offensive line commit, made yet another unofficial visit to the Hill yesterday and came away quite impressed. But when you see this young man's video, you'll understand why Coach Chad Morris is so happy, as well as Dustin Fry, to get this man to be a part of that 2020 Diamond Gang. Also to Scotty Borderland of the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. I want to give a shout out to him for coming on and letting us see just the pulse of Coach Dave Van Horn and that Omaha's group as they head to try to get what they couldn't get last year, the national championship, as they open up once again Saturday versus the Florida State Seminoles in Game 1 of their journey in Omaha. But that's going to wrap it up. Give a shout out to our sponsors, Lindsay & Associates, Locomotion, Corey Beck's Custom Painting, and our newest sponsor, the Candlewood Suites, here in Fayetteville, Arkansas. That's going to do it. It's On the Hill with Pat Jenkins on KDSJ 479. You guys have a blessed one. Let's get it.